The quantum effect wipes out pain and allergy symptoms in less than 30 seconds with zero drugs. Pastor Dave and hundreds of others have experienced the quantum effect for themselves. It's backed by scientific research and rigorous lab testing. Quantum is simply about two things. One, intentions, as a man thinketh, so he is. And two, renewing your mind with the Word of God. Only QE Strong encodes key intentions and Bible verses about healing onto the small patch. You simply place it on your body each day, and with a bonus prayer guide, read out loud a positive intention and one or two Bible verses about healing each day. The patch provides the touch, and the prayer guide uses your sight, speech, and hearing to relieve pain and allergy symptoms with the senses God gave you. It even works for people who have suffered decades of chronic symptoms. Are you ready to experience the quantum effect? Go to qestrong.com/Mary.
Good morning, my beauties and bees. I hope you can hear me and that it's picking me up through this mic. It doesn't seem like it is, so let me see if I need to switch it. Because I just got an episode of Live from the Hive, and it wanted to connect to the wrong mic. Check, check. No, the microphone's not picking up. Damn it. Let's see. Technical difficulties this morning. Let's see here. There we go. Try that. How's the sound on that? That's much better, right? Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. Good morning. Live from the Hive. Thank you so much for your participation this morning. You like that? That's that freaking Mary Crowley televangelist. That's her advertisements. She's advertising. Basically, it's a sticker with Bible verses on it that you put on your skin as an alternative medicine. So that's 2023 for you. Um, yeah, what a world that we live in now. As you all can see from the time that we are running quite a bit late this morning on this morning's show, so I apologize for that. Not intentional. I had my alarm set. This is the set. Yesterday, I take a power nap on my lunch break sometimes when I start to get a headache. So I was half an hour late coming back for my half an hour lunch break because of my alarm clock. Didn't wake me up right. So I think maybe I changed something in my settings. I don't know. I'll have to open it up and look. But my alarm went off. Normally I do one snooze, so I hit the snooze. And then it didn't go off again, so I rolled over and checked, and it was 9:31. So thank you all for showing up here as we start the show half an hour later than usual. So I appreciate everybody who turned up. I know for a while there we did test this as a time slot, as an actual time slot, so it's not that far off from what I've done in the past. But I do appreciate everybody sticking around for me. I don't have a whole lot of preambles this morning. I do want to say happy birthday, or happy belated birthday to Stephanie Helms. Hung out in her stream last night for a while, or no, it was Thursday. Thursday night for a while. It was a good time. Now, she has turned 70, so no more 69 jokes for Stephanie. Sorry, Steph. You'll have to you have to find something else to get us going about. But I'm not going to delay anything any further because I'm already running late, and I don't want to take the show too far over on the far end of it either. Because as we have the 4 segments of the show. The first 2 are generally right around an hour, where the other 2 tend to be shorter. So, without further ado, who is ready for some Cryptic Corner? Who is ready for maybe perhaps the most famous cryptid of all? I don't know. I'll see you guys over there. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to CryptoCorner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and on today's show, we are going to be exploring a cryptid, or maybe it wouldn't be a cryptid, maybe a supernatural creature. Who's to say? But it's perhaps one of the most famous that you will ever see on this show, because everybody's seen these cryptids. They're everywhere. They're all over your yard. But a lot of people don't think of them as cryptids. But what we're talking about today is gnomes. Gnomes. We are actually going to be listening to the tale of the Wollaton gnomes, as told to us by a channel called Juniverse. So let me get that pulled up here for you, so you can see where we're going today. Last week we did the haunted painting, so if you missed that, go back and check that out. We have this Friday coming up. We have, I believe, what is this Friday coming up? Just a second here. Do. You know what? I reset the time. I pushed it back a half an hour, and I never even saved it, so it still kept saying that I was going live at. So this Friday. Oh yeah, we're gonna have the Patagonian Giants. Last night we did the Sewer Gators. So there's a lot happening here in CryptoCorner. So Sewer Gators, Giants, Gnomes is what we're talking about today, of course. And haunted paintings, all are fair game on CryptoCorner. So this is Juniverse, small channel, 3,000 subs. Gnomes of Wollaton Park. Let's look at her page real quick. She does a lot of videos on different historical events or alleged historical events. So there's a ghost, murders, vampires, acid bath vampire, George. Yeah, I remember reading about that. Yeah, of course, lots of true crime stuff. So true crime is hot. So this is like more old-timey true crime, like true crime noir. True crime noir, is it a genre? It should be. I think that would snag Tsunami. She likes old-timey crimes. All right, so let's get into it. Let's find out what these gnomes are all about, guys. Yes, I was right to call it noir, because she's got the whole detective theme going. I don't know if that music is free use, but I'm going to mute it till it's over. It was... If you don't know what you were missing, it was old timey, like detective mystery music. So, yeah.
Summer was drawing to a close. A small group of children went to play in the historic grounds of Wollaton Park. It was around dusk, maybe a bit later, on the 23rd of September 1979, when some of the children in the group, aged between 8 and 10 years,
Something cool about that. Hold on. Something cool about that mansion that it's showing there is that they use that for Wayne Manor in the Nolan series. So this Wollaton Manor or Wollaton Castle or whatever is actually Wayne Manor as well.
When some of the children in the group, aged between 8 and 10 years, wandered into a fenced-off area that was known as the Swamp, a boggy area that people were not supposed to go in. The other children didn't follow as they were too scared to go into the swampy, wooded area. Those that had were interrupted from their play by a strange noise coming from the woods. They all looked up as something was jumping in the treetops. They then heard the sound of bells ringing, a sort of tinkling noise. This scared them and they ran. According to the children, they ran as fast as they could, and one of the boys was nearly caught when he accidentally tripped over a log.
Now, I would think, when I was a kid, I spent a lot of times playing in the woods. The swampy, woody areas was where we would go. We wanted to go where the adults would not go. We would go back into we'd follow the creek all the way down behind the treatment plant and stuff into this big wooded area. We would spend hours playing down there. I don't think hearing bells tinkling would convince us.
Fell into the swampy water. Suddenly, according to all the children, about 30 little cars appeared with 2 little men in each car. The cars, they described, were red and white and looked a bit like bubble cars, with strange triangle lights. The engines made no sound and the wheels left no tracks in the mud. They proceeded to chase the children, all the while laughing. According to one of the girls, the cars seemed to be going about 40 to 50 miles an hour. But to one of the boys...
Why did the kids give speed in miles per hour in the UK back then? That's interesting. I guess, when did the UK switch over to the metric system? And stop using empirical units? That's peculiar. It's interesting, this is the only time that I've ever heard of gnomes having cars. But yeah, we're only 2 minutes into a 12-minute video, and already we have gnomes, happy, jolly, laughing gnomes in little tiny bubble cars that make no noise and leave no tracks and are going super fast.
They drove fast, at least 120 miles an hour. The cars, they said, made a funny sound, and they could jump over logs and ride over water. The children described the little people as very small men, similar to a dwarf, that looked old with wrinkly skin and long white beards with red bits at the end. They couldn't talk, they only laughed and seemed friendly. On their heads they had a green hat similar to an old sleeping cap with a bobble on the end. They wore yellow trousers or tights and a blue thin top. One claimed they apparently followed the gnomes when seeing them come out of a hole. He also claimed the yellow trousers were ripped and had patches on. He claimed they were both in the trees and on the ground, and had blue-green things on them. One of the boys said the cars didn't have...
So, yeah, I mean, basically they're describing a gnome, but this doesn't sound out of question for something that kids would make up so far about telling tales and stuff, right?
A steering wheel, just a round thing with a handle on it to turn it. They mentioned being a bit scared, but managed to run to the gate, and one child mentioned the gnomes didn't seem to like the lights, as they didn't follow them into the street. When they were asked if it was the first time they'd seen the gnomes, one answered that they had seen them once before, but they had run away into the bushes. When was this sighting? The reply was, in the 6 weeks holidays. 3 of the children were questioned about this strange and unbelievable story. They kept to their version of events, and when questioned separately, the stories matched to a certain degree. They seemed pretty sincere in their claims, and according to their family and teachers, they all agreed they were not usually the sort of children to make up silly stories. Although they had told their parents once before when they claimed to have seen the gnomes in the 6 weeks holidays. And they hadn't believed them then, so why should they now? They were...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't believe my kids about gnomes either. I gotta be blunt here. If my kids came up to me and said, "Hey, we saw some gnomes in the woods. They chased us in little cars," I'm like, okay, yeah, great imagination, but I wouldn't take it seriously. I don't know.
Some discrepancies in the children's stories. One of the boys claimed the gnomes had black beards, different to the claims from the other 2 that they were white beards. He also mentioned the cars being green and blue, not red and white like the other 2 mentioned. The one main question that bothered the head teacher and FIS writer, Marjorie Johnson, was how did they manage to see so much detail with little light? According to the written statements, one of the boys claimed to have seen them because the colours of their clothes made them easier to see, and another child claimed there was a light in the sky. Marjorie.
Yeah, so there's this is just a silly one today, guys. Sorry, nothing too serious. Gnomes. Well, if this runs short, we'll probably look at some gnome sightings too. So, yeah, this is just, I've never watched this Juniverse channel before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But so far, she's a great narrator, and the story's silly as hell, but, of course, you know, gnomes. Kids seeing gnomes. This was very similar to, reminds me of the stand down clown sightings. The kind of stuff kids make up.
It herself proclaimed that fairies have their own light surrounding them. The swamps, as the children called that area, were close to a busy road. Although walled off, the street lights would still give off enough light to see. According to the children, the whole incident lasted approximately 15 minutes. It was looked into and thought very unlikely to be true. The then groundkeeper, who had worked the grounds for over 50 years, thought the children were just pulling someone's leg, as he had never seen or heard anything like that himself. But there is, according to some authors on the subject, a few inconsistencies about where the children went that evening while on the park. And I, for one, don't doubt that the whole story could be based around the boy being caked in mud and afraid he would be in big trouble. It was also getting late, so that might have...
Yeah, maybe they made up a story because he'd gotten all muddy that they were chased by gnomes and bubble cars. I think they would think of something simpler, but no, children don't work that way. The more elaborate the explanation, the more reasonable it seems to the child's mind.
Played a part. The fact that they were trespassing, well, that might have been another reason for them to be cautious. But why would they make up such a sensational story, knowingly placing them at a place they shouldn't have been? Including the school grounds, a place where they said they had been passing through on the way to the park, an area where they knew they should not have been at that time. At least the older ones would have known that. But then again, we have to remember their ages. Would they even think about trespassing issues? Personally, I don't think they would. They were out having fun. That's what they were bothered about, nothing else. But there are those who absolutely believe the story. The FIS, or the Fairy Investigation Society, was founded in 1927. The leader and one of its founders of the group at the time was retired British naval officer and scientist.
So I think this may be our first introduction to the FIS too. So, yeah, they are a fairy investigating institution apparently, and one of the people that, or one of the groups that propagates that this is a viable account. This is I wonder if this is like their Patterson Gimlin, for like the BFRO, the Bigfoot Research Organization, how Patterson Gimlin is their Hail Mary pass. If everything else is fake, this one's real. I wonder if that's how they feel about these gnomes.
Quentin Crawford, who had a passion for the paranormal, and it operated up until a few years before the start of the Second World War. In 1947, Crawford, at the age of 72, restarted the society. And in 1950, Marjorie Johnson from Nottingham, who had been a member since 1936, became the secretary and FIS newsletter writer. She apparently transformed the organisation. Before joining, she had been collecting accounts of fairy sightings independently for many years, and she herself had apparently been seeing fairies since she was very young. Her collection of stories, called Seeing Fairies, was finally published in German and Italian. Eventually it would be printed in...
Okay, so I wanted to bring up their website real quick. It's archived, so it's not active. I had to use the Wayback Machine, but this is their website, the FIS. It's like 2017 was the last time they copyright 1927. Look at that. Let's see, copyright that old very often. Not much here though. I imagine that there probably used to be a lot more to this site than this. Let's see if we can jump ahead. If it'll let us. Not that I expect much would have changed. Nope, it's gone by that point, by March 2019. Anyway, so that was their website when it was a thing. All right.
In English, but not until way after her death in 2011. She was 100 years old. At the time, the FIS group had over 100 members. Among those members were some very well-known names, such as Walt Disney, Lord Dowden, an influential member of the British spiritualist, theosophical and animal rights movements, Irish writer Walter Starkey, pursuer of religious and mystical questions, author Wellesley Tudor Pole, George Legler, creator and builder of the Valley of the Moon, June Kinniston, author of Nude Dancing for Health, artist and animal rights campaigner
Nude Dancing
Marion
for Health.
Clive. After 5 years into her work with the Society, Marjorie began a survey with folklorist Alistair Alpin McGregor. They wrote letters to various newspapers asking them to contact them if they had any reports of fairy sightings. McGregor would abandon the project in 1956, and the findings were not published for many years. Marjorie put a lot of herself into the Society. She would, if she could, go to the places herself to see if she could experience the same events the letter authors wrote to her about. But after 50...
So, does this lady have her own article? I know she's listed as Marjorie T. Johnson on the FIS page, but she seems like an interesting character.
In years, she left the Society after some unfortunate misunderstandings or misinterpretation made from an interview she gave claiming Marjorie had spoke of fairy sex. She was angry and upset about this reference, and the Society slowly went into decline from the 1960s and was more or less defunct by the 1990s. Going back to the gnomes of Woollerton, of which Marjorie...
So what's wrong with fairy sex? Fairy sex sounds awesome. Fairies gotta do their thing too, you know? They gotta reproduce, procreate, or whatever. I know that they like swap their babies out with human babies and all that, the changelings, but they still would need to be able to reproduce in some capacity. Unless, what are they, all immortal and non-dying? Do they bud instead of reproducing? Bud new, fresh organisms?
Johnston gave a statement to the local news that it was entirely possible the children had seen the gnomes, stating, "I should imagine they are quite genuine," and that fairies had been reported being seen in Woollerton Park at the lake on a number of occasions. Now, there are caves under Woollerton Hall, apparently the Admiral's Bath being one, where it's claimed a member of the Willoughby family, who happened to be an admiral, supposedly took a daily bath. It's not unusual to hear they have caves.
It's kind of funny that they have caves under there because, like I said, they use it as the Wayne Manor, right? And what's Wayne Manor built over in canon? Caves. Full circle. Batman's real. Batman confirmed. He's just British. He's British. British Batman.
After all, the city is known as the City of Caves. What were they used for? Well, apparently they were used in many different ways. Storage, wine cellars, work environment, cold storage, even home dwellings. Woollerton Hall was built between 1580 and 1588 for Sir Francis Willoughby, an industrialist and owner of coal mines. In 1925, the hall was bought by the council and it would become a natural history museum a year later. Although the caves open now and again for tours, I don't believe they were open in the 1970s, so They could have once upon a time housed some rather little people. Whether it was a fun tale this...
Maybe they still do. You better go down there and check. I would love to see a video. I wonder if there's any videos of going into that, into those
to their
caves.
parents for whatever reason, or completely true, it captured the imagination of many people. The local paper posted a story in 1979, and the children had some fun with it. But as the years go by, the story of the Woollerton Gnomes has continued to capture the imagination of many. It's been talked about for years. Books have been written trying to make some sense of where the children went that night and what they may have seen. Investigators of the supernatural have tried to...
Okay, here's a here's a video that says exploring Woollerton Hall. Let's pop through it real quick and see if there's ever any if they ever enter into the caves. Got lots of deer. The hall itself looks magnificent. Look at that. It's amazing. Maybe we're not going to go inside at all. Because we go around down to the back here. Maybe there's access to these caves back through here. It doesn't look like they ever went inside, but here's the lake they were talking about with fairies and what have you. So yeah, they don't go into the place, but who was at the forbidden? Is that the Forbidden Forest? Let's see. Sorry, dudes. Let me get you on camera. There. Is that the Forbidden Forest on the other side of that fence? Is that where the gnomes live? Is that why we can't see inside there? Yep, I see a gnomes easily prospering back here in this dark area. Right? You can see gnomes just living it up back in here. Anyway, thank you, Bald Explorer, for at least showing us the outside of the building. Continuing on.
To trace the steps of those little imps, but as far as we know, the gnomes of Woollerton Park never revealed themselves again. As for the children, they grew up, and as far as I know, they didn't talk about the subject again. It's difficult to say, as they haven't come forward as adults to talk about it. At least I can't find any evidence of them having done so. When I mentioned this story to the youngest in our family, he put me straight on the subject, adding, "Well, of course they saw them. They're Santa's helpers, getting the reindeers ready for Christmas." You know what? It could be right. The park is famous for its reindeers wandering around the grounds.
That is true.
Either way,
We just saw
it's a
some.
delightful story to come out about the historic hall and the grounds of Woollerton
I need to get a
Park.
better chair. This one's so squeaky.
Thank
I'm
you
actually
for
ordering
watching.
a new chair. I'm actually ordering a new chair because the armrest on this broke. I just ordered it yesterday, so it should be here soon. It'll be a bigger folder chair. I'll be able to sit more comfortably. And I got when I got this one, I got the cheapest one I could find that was pretty. Now I've moved beyond that, and I need something because I'm going to be sitting here to work all day, every day. I need something more comfortable. So there we go. Now again, that was Juniverse covering the Woollerton Park gnomes, but these aren't the only gnomes that people report, right? There's gnome reports from around the globe. Now, there are some special gnome reports that we'll discuss, or that will get their own video. The Duodine, however you say it. But I did a video on them once, but I'm gonna do another one because I found a channel I really like. But it's gonna be a bit later. It'll probably be maybe in May. I don't know. Maybe earlier, maybe not. But we're gonna look at some gnome sightings here. So, hang on to your butts. Sir Spooks.
Hello everyone, my name is Sir Spooks, and today we'll take a look at 5 gnomes caught on camera. Yes, gnomes. At first I was a bit skeptical, but the suggestion seemed to be very popular. I was very hesitant about making this video as I thought the idea was absolutely ridiculous. But there was a surprisingly huge amount of gnome sightings caught on camera. Before
Right?
the video starts, just know that all these videos were recorded with potatoes, so no need to comment that. Anyway, if...
Alright, before we start, I'm going to catch up on my chat too, so, let's see, Al Trucker has arrived, good morning. Let's see, Brian Stevens says, can't find garden gnomes here. Tried last year to get some for a neighbor's garden and had to order online. Yeah, sometimes like I find gnome stuff at like Dollar General and stuff, like the dollar store. Other times, yeah, if you want more specialized one, you gotta go online. You can go online and get custom ones. You can go online and get like, I've looked at them tons of times because I used to be, I'm like a real big horror movie fan, so people are always sending me horror movie stuff. They had all the slashers as garden gnomes: Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, Leatherface, Pennywise. All of them is garden gnomes. It was adorable. I worked part-time as a garden gnome. The pay isn't great, but the garden brings me happiness. Well, John, that's the important part. You gotta find happiness in whatever you're doing. And Dave confirming that Amazon has gnomes, even ones that are flipping you off. Yeah, if your neighbor sucks. What happens when kids take shrooms? Yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise if there was some sort of hallucinogenic origins to gnome sightings. Not sure how the grainy stock photo of Emma supports the story. Yeah, the leprechaun is their cousin. That's true. Leprechauns are also fairy folk in the same family as gnomes and fairies and elves. That's the most Irish thing I've heard today. Not sure about that, D. Well, the name "We Are Gullible" was considered. Oh, okay. Pretty fly for a white guy, says Al Trucker. Well, indeed, the solution to every awesome person of the Hive. Oh, salutations. I don't know why I was reading solution. Many a person is impressed by the quality of my dance. I'm glad to hear that. Caves are just dragon cooters. That's the word on the street, are giants. Giants is what we hear a lot, that these are giant and dragon vaginas. In my youth, as a hobby, I explored many dragon caves. Yeah, I spent a lot of time crawling through caves as well. Told a story last week, I think, about when me and my brother found a vulture nesting back in a cave. Which is like, wonder where vultures nest. Yeah. Deeper the crevice, the better in a cave. It doesn't get much deeper than a cave. Potatoes are great to stop action clipping. Yeah, just throw a potato. Good morning, Ryan. All right, let's go.
If you have any suggestions for future caught on camera videos, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. So let's start off the list. It's hard to tell exactly what goes on in this video, but it appears to show a couple of boys playing football when a gnome in the background starts moving. Then screaming ensues.
Ya, güey. Te quedas aquí. ¡Calor, ya no! Ya, güey. No, voy por él. Ay, no mames, güey, ya vieron.
Let's take a closer look.
Okay. Pretty sure that one could have just been yoinked by a string, though. What do you guys think? Let's watch it again.
Ay, no mames, güey, ya vieron.
Let's take a closer look.
Or was he laying down? it's there, right there.
Ya no. ¿Qué ves? Te quedas aquí. Valor, ya
There the
no.
whole time.
¿Qué ves? No. Yo voy por él. Ay, no mames, güey, ya viene.
Let's take a closer look.
Yeah, I think it's something being pulled by a string. Maybe a ceramic garden gnome that laid on its side and pulled it upright and then just pulled it right along. Number 4.
The audio is sort of weird in this video, and the kids are speaking in a foreign language, so it's once again hard to tell what circumstances this video was shot under. This time, a couple of kids seem to have spotted something behind a wall, and when they go to investigate, a gnome or goblin or something pokes its head out. You know, standard gnome behavior.
So, this one was also, we did fairy videos a couple of months back. Not a couple months back, it was like a St. Patrick's Day episode. We did fairies, and this one was on there too. So it's a gnome and a fairy. Foam or Gnary.
いない。あれ？え？なんかいたよね今。え？何もいないじゃん。
Alright, what do we have here? Okay, so I'm assuming that this is the head, and this is the arm, and the arm seems to do this, but the front of the arm is longer than this part of the arm. The fingers, the front part of the hand is longer than this part of the arm. The head comes forward like this. Could it be? Are we observing a praying mantis? Are we looking at a praying mantis here? I'm not 100% on that, but the proportions of the arm, this part of the hand, this part, hold on, I'll do it this way. This part of the hand is longer than the forearm in this image, in this still that we have here. See, because this is the front of the hand, and then this is the well, it's almost the same length. This is slightly smaller, or the hand is slightly longer, like it couples with the elbow. Hold on, gotta sing this. Oh, give me a gnome where the Bigfoot roam, and the skies are filled with aliens and demons all day. I switched them around because of the structure. Anyway, where seldom is heard a large thunderbird soaring. I don't know where to go from there. I'm sorry. I tried. Let's get back to our gnomes.
There's no audio in this video, which is always a bit of a suspicious clue as to whether the video was real or fake. But besides that, the video shows a normal gnome in the garden, which then starts moving on its own. The cameraman shakes a great deal, perhaps out of fear, or perhaps to cover up for bad special effects. Who knows really?
Potato, ugh. Stabilize. How is that not? All right, we're gonna talk about that one because we can stabilize it. There's ways to stabilize it. But the subject of the video is about just based on the surroundings. I want to say they're with the peak of their hat would probably be about, I don't know, 3 foot. So with that in mind, there's not really any reason why this couldn't be a child in a costume or a small adult in a costume, or even a regular sized adult walking on their knees in a costume, based just with dark pants to cover their knees, which is like an old stage trick, right? For short, to make like gnomes and stuff, they wear dark pants and put shoes, like modified shoes, on their knees and things, and then on like stage productions wearing the black. You're not supposed to see that, so maybe.
Here we have yet another Mexican gnome which decided to show up at what could look like a birthday party. A lot of weird screaming ensues.
¿Quién era? Vamos a ver.
That
Ven, ven. No te mueras. Uy.
Let's take a closer look.
to me, that looks like a dog in a costume, but it could also be something on a string being pulled. I thought it looked like a dog in a costume, though. Like a little dachshund or something with a party hat on. Number 1.
This video shows a few boys playing football when a Mexican gnome shows up. Yes, gnomes are a big deal in Mexico, it seems. Lots of screaming also happens.
So they're always playing soccer, or football, sorry, football. They're always playing football when a gnome shows up. Maybe gnomes really like football.
Mañana vamos contra el Atlético de Madrid. ¿Para qué la avientas? ¿Qué es eso? ¡Ve, vamos!
That wasn't a gnome, that was a Jawa.
¿Lo viste? Sí, ¿lo viste?
Jawa! Just looking for scraps.
Before you leave the video, I just want to let you know that I will be going full-time with YouTube videos in about a month, when I've finished my final exams. Having to study for exams while doing YouTube videos is a tad difficult at the moment, so I hope you understand if there are only sometimes one video a week for the next month or so. Besides that, I just want to thank you all for being very supportive on some of the recent videos. I read through all of your comments and I really appreciate them, so thank you. With that said, cue the outro.
Alright, so that was 5 scary gnomes caught on camera. The channel was Sir Spooks, but yeah, it's a bigger channel, 896K. To me, I was hoping to see the sidewalk and gnome. Let's see what we have here. We'll watch a few more.
Susan! Look out the back window! There's a wee man! Susan! Susan! It's there! I've got it in camera! It's moving! It's moving right away! Susan! He's come here! Come here!
That one's definitely CG, but yeah.
Oh!
The guy screaming makes it fun though. Some Halloween music, we're not playing that. Dewey Dinda, okay, so. Duende, I don't know how to say it. Still playing that music. Do we need to? Maybe? I don't know. Right there. It's dancing. It's still dancing to Halloween. Guess not. They should put some dance music on for whatever it's gonna do. Real elf. Caught on camera. Real elf, guys. Look at bigger. Potato. Guess that's supposed to be it over there? Oh, no, I can't tell what I'm looking at. These are awful quality videos. Guess this was uploaded like 11 years ago. Look at, there it goes. Looking for those dance moves. Look at that. Ooh. Patrick Star, maybe. So there's folklore around it, and native atheists. That's why they run, because the folklore is like it's evil and it's gonna do bad things. For the Hispanic version of this creature, but you know, what else do we got? Is this one better quality? I think I've seen this one too. It's like out here behind the trees. It doesn't take long before we start looking at the same videos over and over again, because there are only so many and they repackage them as different things. So it's an elf, it's a goblin, it's a gnome, it's a fairy, all the same video.
Un pinal, boludo. Sí, creo que sí. ¿A tres? ¿Y qué vas a hacer? ¿Qué hiciste acá?
It's that right there.
Mírame. Y está.
Right there.
Mira, chabón, ¿qué hizo? Mira, boludo. No, mira, tiene una cabeza, boludo. Para, no, para. No la asusten. ¿Qué es eso? Veo un brazo. Para. Parece una piedra, boludo. ¿Qué es eso?
Watch out for gnomes while you're out and about, John. Have a good day.
Wow. Dios, cuita, corre, boludo, corre.
That looks like a person walking on their hands to me. What do you all think?
Corre.
This will be our last one for today. Distance of Elves.
Tell y'all the truth. I have been to our mamas out there
Indicator number 1, proportions. grown man in an elf costume. Using modern green screen technology, the elf may have been inserted in the video with special effects. However, a green screen would not simulate the reflection on the polished hardwood floor. If you simulated that in the art, you could. Yeah, you can simulate a shadow too. I don't know about that. When the video is unknown. Walmart in Clinton. Elfinvasion.com. Oh man, oh man. Y'all want to see what elfinvasion.com shows us? Oh, you can buy it. It is the right domain, right? It says buy domain. Elfinvasion.com. Learn more. It does say that, but then when you go to the website, it's not open anymore. But this was from 13 years ago, so I guess that's to be expected. Anyway, what do you all think so far? How are you feeling about the gnomes? The Woolton gnomes, the other gnomes that were captured, the Mexican gnomes. Do you all think that this is just a well-orchestrated series of hoaxes or something more secretive and sinister? Tell me in the comments down below. And please make sure to like and subscribe if you aren't subscribed yet. And check us out tomorrow live from the Hive if you want to join this awesome side chat that's been bouncing alongside here this whole time with us. Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we will be here with bells on. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. All right, live from the Hive audience, as always, don't go any... There goes my voice. Don't go anywhere. There's more show to come. This is just segment 1, and I got some more fun stuff on the docket for you today. So please do not leave just yet. We will bring you more bizarre and bizarre claims and science facts and everything coming up right around the corner with some sci-fails. So hang in there, and I will see you in just a moment.
Why are marginalized people so unwilling to have calm, philosophical debates about whether they should have rights? Are they afraid of dangerous ideas?
Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to yet another episode of Sci-Fails, where we pick apart like the worst scientific arguments imaginable, from claims about prehistoric animals to windmill cancer and everything in between. Today, we are actually going to be visiting a topic that I just happen to enjoy quite a bit, and hopefully you do too, because we are going to talk about how dragons are dinosaurs and dragons are real, or whatever. some nonsense along that line. I found two videos that seemed like they were written on the same script. One of them is put out by this Riddle channel with 5.56 million subscribers, newly found real evidence of the existence of dragons on Earth. And then the second one is put out by Earthly, and it's called Scientists' Insane Discovery of Dragon Bones that Prove They Exist. So I'm going to watch this one, but I watched them both, and the verbiage and direction of the video and everything is almost exactly the same. So, yeah, let's go.
In the year 2004, in South Dakota, 3 paleontologists stumbled upon an ancient skull whose identity puzzled experts. Despite concerted efforts over 2 years to ascertain its owner, the artifact remained neglected, gathering dust within a museum. Specialists were unable to establish the connection between the skull and any recognized animal species. The creature was called Dracorex hogwartsia due to its striking resemblance to a magical creature from the Harry Potter series. Despite varying opinions...
Yeah, just talking about... we start off by talking about the dinosaur that they named after the dragons from Hogwarts, but it's a Paracelophus is the... or not Paracelophus, Pachycephalosaurus is what or Pachycephalosaurus is the group that this one falls into, which were herbivores for one thing, so they're not dragons. Dragons are predatory.
A consensus among most experts suggested that it likely represents a juvenile specimen. Interestingly, considering the dimensions of the skull, it is speculated that the creature must have measured at least 3 meters or 10 feet in length. Consider the immense size it could attain in adulthood. Then, in 2017, a fully intact skeleton of a similar creature was discovered in China.
How is that similar?
In Alaska,
it looks nothing like the Hogwartsy specimen.
Specialists unearthed feathers that may have belonged to the same creature.
What?
Astonishingly, there is strong evidence suggesting that these creatures may have coexisted with our ancient descendants.
Oh, really?
Now the question
Strong
remains,
evidence, huh?
What exactly are these animals? In Canada, specialists discovered a petroglyph crafted by the indigenous Anasazi tribe more than 2,000 a colossal lizard.
Or just a regular lizard, maybe? Could be a lizard. Scaled up?
A similar depiction of a reptile with wings was identified in the San Rafael Swell, Utah.
Wait, is this not a dragon anymore? They used to say this one was a dragon. The consensus is pretty consistent that this is like a heron or a crane, but some sort of wading bird that they were trying to depict here. The lizard that they showed, though, what was dragon-like about that? Unless you're saying that dragons are just big lizards, in which case we have a whole other subject to try to dive into and see what about a lizard would make it a dragon other than size, because dragons have other characteristics too, or they generally do.
This particular rock art is attributed to one of the indigenous tribes and dates back around 4,000 years. Upon close examination, one can observe that the creature depicted in this petroglyph features an elongated head, expansive membranous wings, and clawed feet, creating a resemblance to an unidentified dinosaur species. Moreover, there are additional discoveries suggesting that ancient humans encountered such creatures on multiple occasions. In 1966, Dr. Javier Cabrera Darquilla was presented with an inscribed stone as a gift from a friend.
Ooh, are we talking about the Ica stones? Ah, yay! I thought we'd get to these. Oh goodness! So the Ica stones are well known. Young Earth creationism ornaments. And what else to call them besides ornaments? There's hundreds of them. They're all hand carved and depict everything from aliens arriving on Earth in spacecraft to dinosaurs and beyond.
On the stone depicted an extinct fish. Due to Cabrera's keen fascination with prehistoric artifacts, he embarked on a quest to find and acquire similar stones. Consequently, his collection grew to encompass over 15,000 pieces, with some of these stones portraying creatures that bear a striking resemblance to dinosaurs.
Right, because they were made in modern times. They even know how these were made. The guy who made them wasn't in denial about how they were making them. He said, "Yeah, we would you'd carve them with like a Dremel tool type thing, carve them, and then they would wrap them in dung and bake them until they looked old." Morning, Tsunami.
One of the stones depicts a person riding on the back of such a creature. This poses a significant challenge as humans are believed to have emerged after the extinction of dinosaurs. References to enormous reptiles with lengthy tails or wings and formidable teeth are prevalent in myths spanning various cultures worldwide. The Bible subtly mentions them as well. Upon reading, we discover that on the fifth day of creation, God created immense sea creatures and winged beings.
So we're talking about Bible stuff. Of course, it always comes back to the Bible. Why wouldn't it?
The term used in biblical Hebrew to describe these creatures can be translated as a dragon. If we give credibility to the sacred text, humans might have once coexisted with these beings, perhaps even sharing space on Noah's Ark and enduring the flood.
Yeah, we need some evidence of that, though, because this is not. These are just assertions you're making here.
Allusions to dragons are not confined to the Bible alone.
How do you look at this dinosaur and think this is an actual dragon? Like an actual dragon. What about this dinosaur makes you think dragon? Because it has horns on its face and on its head. Lots of animals, lots of dinosaurs have horns and spikes and scoots. Does not make them dragons. Lots of living animals have those features too.
In the realm of ancient Babylonian mythology, Gilgamesh, a heroic figure, vanquished a colossal dragon named Humbaba, who guarded the entrance to the cedar forest. In an Anglo-Saxon epic poem, Beowulf extracted Grendel's arm to obtain a claw from a dragon. The travels of the renowned explorer Marco Polo contain depictions of lengthy serpents with small clawed appendages. Nevertheless, the culture that bestowed the most attention upon dragons appears to be the Chinese. They boast a collection.
If you want to call the lung, if you want to say it's the same phenomena as a dragon, that's kind of a stretch, but I know that traditionally that lungs are classified that way, but there's so much more to them as spiritual beings than we ever attribute to dragons in Western society. The lung is a type of almost a deity level, at least as far as its control over the elements of the sky and wind. I think rain and storms too.
Of dragon myths, often incorporating these mythical creatures as heraldic symbols. Despite captivating...
They didn't have wings in Chinese mythology, though. Lungs didn't have wings. They just flew. We did gnomes this morning, Sumami, for Cryptic Corner. We had gnomes.
Legends and ancient artwork, possessing tangible physical evidence of dragons presents an entirely different challenge. In 2017, inhabitants of the Chinese village of Zhengzhou discovered something highly unusual in a field, an unidentified animal skeleton. Perplexingly, the creature measured 18 meters or 59 feet in length and comprised numerous segments. With disproportionately small arms and a skull reminiscent of a cow, the origin of this enigmatic find remained a mystery. Despite its scientific ambiguity, certain superstitious villagers insisted that they had stumbled upon the remains of a real dragon. Officials offered no statements regarding the find and opted not to subject the remains to scientific inspection. Eventually, a consensus emerged, asserting that the skeleton was likely a prop from a film, although no one could identify the specific movie. The ultimate fate of the discovery remains uncertain as it inexplicably vanished. It might be prudent to dismiss the entire episode as a prank, except for the fact that similar findings have been reported in other parts of the world.
It's made, but the thing is you look at it, and it's made out of, hold on.
The ultimate fate of the
It's made out of a cow skull. Like, if you look at it close, I got a different picture of it up here that I was going off of, but let's look at these pictures a little more closely. I hate the Daily Mail, but I found they have a good set of pictures on it, so let's go with that. All right, so these bizarrely trimmed photos are the alleged dragon, right? And those ribs and the, what do you call those? It's gonna escape me, and it's gonna drive me crazy. The protrusions off the vertebra, they're called terminals. I'm not gonna bother trying to think of it, but this is look like they're placed there, like this was laid in place. Like look at deer antlers. Yeah. So anyway, not you.
Discovery remains uncertain as it inexplicably vanished.
Right.
It might be prudent to dismiss the entire episode as a prank, except for the fact that similar findings have been reported in other parts of the world.
Oh yeah? Where?
In 2021, researchers in the Australian state of Queensland unearthed a fragment of an ancient skeleton belonging to an airborne creature, boasting a wingspan of 7 meters or 23 feet.
An airborne creature, not what is clearly a pterosaur. Looks like a rhynchorinchid pterosaur.
A skull measuring a meter or 3.2 feet in length. Notably, both the upper and lower jaws of this creature were equipped with 40 teeth, making a direct encounter with such a beast quite formidable. Archaeologists theorized that the creature possessed an exceptionally long neck, coupled with a compact...
They keep calling it a creature. It's a pterosaur.
...body, suggesting it may belong to a rare species of flying reptile known as an angora, which thrived around 112 million years ago and likely subsisted on a diet of fish. These were the initial vertebrates to master the skill of flight. Over the course of history, archaeologists have unearthed fragments of skeletons with characteristics strikingly parallel to that of mythical dragons. If we entertain the notion that...
Just to be clear, an angora is just a genus of pterosaurs. So it's a family of pterosaurs, I guess I should say. Pterodactyloid pterosaurs. So that's what so toothy pterodactyls are, a toothy group. So not a rhynchorinchoid, I was wrong. It was a pterodactyloid.
Dragons did indeed exist. How plausible is their biological reality? Could these colossal reptiles have exhibited the fantastical feats attributed to them in legends? Chinese, Japanese, and ancient Greek myths characterize dragons as formidable aquatic entities. Nevertheless, the most significant aquatic creatures recognized by science fall within the category of mammals. Whales, walruses, seals, and dolphins possess a biologically endowed set of characteristics that enable them to thrive in or around water. Dragons, however, clearly do not belong to the mammalian category. From the perspectives of folktales and archaeological discoveries, these creatures bear a closer resemblance.
There are no archaeological discoveries of dragons, sir. What the hell are you talking about, archaeological discoveries?
To dinosaurs. Consider the plesiosaurus, for instance. Its broad barrel-shaped body and scale-free smooth skin facilitated effortless navigation through the ocean. The elongated neck and petite head allowed the creature to silently approach fish. Coupled with its abbreviated tail and 4 flippers, this predator achieved a near-flying capability underwater. When the plesiosaurus disappeared...
The near-flying capability underwater, for those not in the know, it's called swimming. They were good at swimming. You think that most marine animals are pretty good at swimming, though. Most of them.
Appeared from the scene, the Mosasaurus stepped in. This carnivorous reptile boasted a streamlined physique, but featured a larger head, shorter neck, and a mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth. This appeared
because it wasn't eating little fish; it was eating big stuff. It's a giant viridid, a giant varanoid. This time I am right. They are macro predatory.
Appears to have a more dragon-like quality. The Mosasaurus didn't utilize its flippers for swimming. Instead, it propelled itself through the water by oscillating its tail and flexing its spine laterally. However, when considering their winged counterparts, dragons depicted in various legends may seem overly hefty for flight. Nevertheless, there are documented instances of sizable creatures capable of taking to the skies. The largest among them are known as pterosaurs, boasting a wingspan that extended to 10 meters. Pterosaurs could weigh up to 250 kilograms, with bones that were partially hollow and only a few millimeters thick. Additionally, their skeletal structure was reinforced by internal struts, akin to the wings of an airplane. Because the bones possessed air-filled structures, they exhibited flexibility and a lightweight nature. Regarding dragons, their wings could potentially be filled with substances such as methane, a gas lighter than air. This characteristic could enable even a creature surpassing the mass of a pterosaur to achieve flight. If the composition of dragon bones...
So you're saying that dragon bones are full of methane? Wow, they'd be quite combustible, I'd say that. Shoot a dragon with a flaming arrow, take him out.
...resembled that of larger birds, it could be the primary explanation for the absence of fossilized skeletons in our search. The crux of the matter is that bones with pores tend to decompose before undergoing fossilization, which could be why we lack direct evidence of their existence. Now, considering the trademark ability of dragons to spit fire, one might be astonished to discover that not only can such creatures...
I think spitting fire would be a dangerous activity if your respiratory system was avian and connected to your bones, and then those were filled with methane. Breathing fire would probably be the worst thing you could possibly do.
...theoretically exist, but they already do, coexisting with us. Bombardier beetles, for instance, have the capability to release bursts of hot liquid from their specialized glands in the abdomen, known as picadile glands. Chemical compounds are stored in 2 reservoirs and a distinct chamber where they undergo mixing. The biological mechanism of
Right, there's no combustion there, though. Keep that in mind. There's no flames, no combustion.
Dragons might operate along similar lines. Initiating just one particular chemical reaction could set the stage for the ability to breathe fire. Moreover, there are alternative methods to achieve this feat. Numerous animals, humans included, generate methane through anaerobic digestion, and this gas is notably flammable. Rather than expelling it through burps, dragons could potentially store methane in internal reservoirs and, when needed, unleash this stored potential for a more captivating purpose.
So then when they fly, are they depleting their methane? So if a dragon breathes fire, it's not going to be able to fly anymore? I mean, does it deplete the methane that it has in its bones to make it lighter?
Despite the high flammability of methane, the question arises, how does one ignite it? It could be that dragons possessed something akin to lighters internally. Even small deposits of silicon steel on their teeth could serve as a catalyst to spark a fire. The dragon would only need to snap its jaws once to unleash streams of blazing flames. Now consider this.
That would be awesome if it had like flint in its teeth or something. One of the top teeth had flint and the bottom teeth had steel or something. But even that eventually is going to wear out. Like after after a few uses, eventually it'd wear out. But that's an interesting idea about their anatomy, having them like you could do spec evolution for a dragon and give it that ability. You could even add like a migration where they migrate to some place where they like what you see cervids and ovids and stuff doing to salt lakes, migrating to lick the salt for the necessary minerals that they need.
Suppose these mythical creatures were actual entities that endured through all ice ages and mass extinctions, even managing to evade human conflicts. Could they seamlessly integrate into our contemporary world? Given the prevalence,
I think giant flying reptiles would probably have been discovered by now. I think that would happen. I think we would find them.
Of dragon myths across diverse cultures, it's conceivable that they resided all over the globe, possibly coexisting with dinosaurs when all continents were interconnected. However, over time, the movement of lithospheric plates could have caused the separation of descendants from the same species, leading them to end up in entirely distinct environments. Consequently, it is conceivable that various dragon species...
Look at those weird eyes on this one. It's like human eyes. But, yeah, the idea that humans coexisting with dragons and the dragon folklore from around the world being evidence for that, I just don't think that pans out, because the dragons that are seen all over the world have a lot of different characteristics and a lot of variability between what they are, how they interact, whether or not they breathe fire, whether they can fly, whether they have wings, whether they live in the sea. There's so many factors that are different that they're clearly not even describing the same phenomena anymore.
Adapted for both aerial and terrestrial environments, could have emerged. These creatures would likely have undergone a natural evolutionary process, similar to the development of other vertebrates. Feathered dragons, akin to contemporary large birds, might have forfeited their capability for flight over time. The wings would have...
Your latitude and longitude. Yeah, we're trying to chart your travels abroad, Miss Tsumami. Come on, Bree. Roger has flooded them and pretending to be mountains and shit. Tartaria, of course. Dragons exist in Tartaria. If only Tartaria was the world that we lived in. I agree that there are dragons aplenty. Both sea, sky, and land, or both sea and sky and on the land in Tartaria. And there are dragons as big as mountain ranges that were covered by the mud flood. Sure.
Gradually diminished until they disappeared entirely. Nevertheless, these creatures would likely retain robust hind legs adorned with claws and formidable beaks. In the minds of our descendants, dragons appeared far more majestic than their scientific depiction suggests. However, despite everything explained, there's still a possibility for you to encounter a genuine dragon. One such creature resides
in your brain.
In the tropics, boasting a more awe-inspiring appearance than any fictional monster. Known as the blue sea dragon, it is actually a diminutive mollusk measuring no more than 40 millimeters. Its elongated body is adorned in vivid blue hues, with 2 pairs of legs on each side. The front limbs mimic wings, branching out into finger-like serrations, while the hind limbs, slightly smaller, feature appendages connected to the digestive tract. Similar to the dragon's mouth, there are tentacles designed to assist in capturing prey. This creature has the ability to patiently wait for hours, stealthily scanning the water to an extent that it goes unnoticed. Can you imagine encountering it if it were hundreds of times larger? What do you think? Did dragons actually exist in our world? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.
All right, so what do you guys think? Did dragons actually exist in the real world? Did dragons once roam our great planet and, consume villagers and kidnap princesses or eat horses or something like that? No. My opinion is no. There's never been anything that we would call a dragon in reality. But if you have a different opinion, if you think that at some point in time that we did exist with dragons or that dragons ever existed at all, tell us about it in the comments down below. We are always happy to listen to your scientific claims about the existence of supernatural or unnatural creatures from myth and mythology, making that transition from fiction to reality and entering our world. If you have evidence of that, bring it on, my dear. I am ready for it. To my live from the Hive audience, thank you so much for sticking with me. There's more show to come. Thank you so much, everybody, for sticking around for a little bit of Hive Sci, though. Now, today on Sci-Fail, we went back and kind of did a little bit more of a scientific approach to the dragon myth, but we have done this in the past, so I do have other dragon videos in my back catalog too, if that interests you. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. Fart-boned dragons. Yes, the fart-boned dragons. That might be a good name for the video. Did fart-boned dragons exist? You store your farts in your bones so you can breathe fire and fly. It works on 2 levels. Yeah. All right. So, more show to come as always. So stick around, and we are going to keep on trucking through our little piece of Live from the Hive.
This legend raises a lovely problem. How does it come about that the face of a warrior is cut on the carapace of a Japanese crab? How could it be? The answer seems to be that humans made this face. But how? Like many other features, the patterns on the back or carapace of this crab are inherited. But among crabs, as among humans, there are many different hereditary lines. Now, suppose purely by chance, among the distant ancestors of this crab, there came to be one which looked just a little bit like a human face. Long before the battle, fishermen may have been reluctant to eat a crab with a human face. In throwing it back into the sea, they were setting into motion a process of selection. If you're a crab, and your carapace is just ordinary, the humans are going to eat you. But if it looks a little bit like a face, they'll throw you back, and you'll be able to have lots of nice little baby crabs that all look just like you. As many generations passed of crabs and fisher folk alike, the crabs with patterns that look most like a samurai face preferentially survived. Until eventually, there was produced not just a human face, not just a Japanese face, but the face of a samurai warrior. All this has nothing to do with what the crabs might want. Selection is imposed from the outside. The more you look like a samurai, the better your chances of survival. Eventually, there are a lot of crabs that look like samurai warriors.
Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to an episode of Strange Science. So, a question for you, my little hive out there. Do you like animal scientists? Do you like when a wildlife or domesticated or tamed or captive animal decides to use its sweet animal skills for science to advance humankind, if you will? Well, today I've got just such a case for you, because we are looking at the seal scientist. Seal scientists wearing funky hats discover 2-kilometer deep canyon under Antarctica. Here's one of our seal scientists right here, wearing these cool little tracking hats to help us see where they go and what they do. Let me read a little bit more about it. Scientists have come up with many innovative ways to explore different parts of the Earth and beyond. From enormous space telescopes to fancy LiDAR equipment, these technologies can teach us more about the world and universe we live in. Now, scientists have turned to the animal kingdom, and recruiting the help of some marine mammals to help them learn more about unseen ocean depths and seascapes in Antarctica. By fixing devices atop the heads of some very helpful southern elephant seals, that's Mironga leonina and Weddell's seals, Leptonycodes weddelli, researchers have been able to discover more about a hard-to-reach area in Vincennes Bay in Antarctica. The cooperative pinnipeds have even discovered a huge underground canyon that is thought to be 2 kilometers or 1.3 miles deep and has been named the Mironga Nuina Canyon in honor of the seals that discovered it. That's kind of nice, naming it after the seals. Deep diving seals like Weddell and elephant seals provide us with a wealth of information on the structure of the ocean floor, said Dr. Clive McMahon, lead author of the study, in the statement. In their papers, the team states that, hold on, I need to clear my throat. Just a second. In their paper, the team states that only 23% of the seafloor has been mapped accurately across the globe. Even less is known about the deep waters around Antarctica because of its remoteness, inaccessibility, and the vast swaths of ice in the region. Given the remote and inhospitable nature of Antarctica and the surrounding Southern Ocean, only a small part of the Antarctic continental shelf was surveyed by ships in the past. So the information available about this area is sparse, McMahon explained. A total of 265 southern elephant seals and Weddell seals were captured after the molt, and devices were fixed on each of the seals' heads to help collect data. The devices record depth whenever the seals are in the water at a frequency of once every 4 seconds. They can also measure the temperature and conductivity, helping scientists understand more about the East Antarctic continental shelf and the ocean processes that are affected by climate change. Here's another one of our cool seal scientists with his attached device on. The team combined data from over 500,000 individual seal dives on the East Antarctic continental shelf and compared them to bathymetry information about the depth of the water in different locations. Mismatches between the seals' data and the bathymetry information can help scientists discover more about different depths and features in different regions of the ocean. We found in some regions that more than 25% of previous estimates of the ocean's depth were wrong, said co-author Professor Mark Hindell. In some cases, the seals were diving more than 1,000 meters, over 3,281 feet deeper than where the team thought the ocean floor was. By comparing different data sets taken from seals and from multiple beam sonar vessels like the RSV Nuyina, the team can learn much more about the seafloor in these different hard to access areas. This in turn can inform data about the melting of the ice sheets in the area and identify thinner patches. The observations we collect from the seals help us better understand the shape of the ocean floor, especially where there are channels for warm water to access ice shelf cavities, Mahon explains. This knowledge is essential for scientists trying to measure ice sheet melt rates. And this study was published in Communication, Earth, and Environment. So, yeah, some nifty little seal scientists giving it their all out there, diving down and taking measurements of the ocean floor to teach us about the way climate shifts are affecting ocean life and affecting the oceanic and geological conditions of our southern continent. So it's all important stuff that I would love to keep track of and learn more about. I hope that you all enjoyed this little segment here. I know it's been kind of short, but super interesting nonetheless. All right, so remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. All right, again, don't go anywhere live from the Hive. We have one more segment to go as we're going to talk about our Brigsby Eerie. So I will see you guys over there in just a second.
Yo, VIPs, let's wick it. Stop collaborating, listen. Ice is back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, don't know. Turn off the light. I glow to the extreme. I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a stage and wax a trunk like a candle. Dance, bum rush, speaking that boom, killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom. Deathbed when I play an old melody. Anything less than the best is a felony. Love it or leave it. Better gain weight. Better hit bulls like the kid don't play. If there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby. Vanilla ice, ice, baby. Vanilla ice, ice, baby. Vanilla ice, ice, baby. Well, now that the party is jumping with the bass kicked in and the Vegas are pumping, quick to the point, no faking, cooking MCs like a pound of bacon, burning them, we're not quick and nimble, so crazy when I hear a cymbal, a high top with a two-cup gimbal, on a roll, time to go solo, rolling in my 5.0, rack top down when my hair can blow, girl is on standby, waving just to say hi, did you stop? No, I just drove by, kept on, pursuing to the next stop, busting left, headed in the next block was dead, yo, I continue to A1A, Beachfront Avenue, girls were hot, wearing less than bikinis, rock man lovers, driving Lamborghinis, jealous, cause I'm out hitting my shade with a gauge of vanilla with a 9, ready for the jumps off the wall, jumps at the deal, cause I'm full of 8-ball gunshots, ranged out like a bell, grab my 9, all I heard was shells, falling on the concrete, real fast, guns in the car, stand on the gas, bumper to bumper, avenues packed, try to get away before the jackers, police on the scene, know what I mean, they passed me up and running on the dope beat, if there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it, check out the hook while DJ revolves it, ice, ice, baby. Vanilla ice, ice, baby. Vanilla ice, ice, baby. Vanilla ice, ice, baby. Well, take heat cause I'm a lyrical poet. Miami's on the scene in case you didn't know it. My town created all the bass sound enough to shake and kick holes in the ground. My style's like a chemical spill, feasible rhyme, shaking vision and feel. Conducted and formed is a hell of a concept. We make it hype. You wanna step with this? Shape plays on the fade, slice like a ninja, cut like a razor blade so fast. Other DJs say, damn, if a rhyme was a drug, I'd sell it by the gram. Keep a composure when it's time to get loose. Man, it dies by the mic while I kick my juice. If there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while TV revolves it. Ice, ice, baby. Vanilla ice, ice, baby. Vanilla ice, ice, baby.
Welcome once again, my beauties and bees, to an episode of Bree's Bestiary. Thank you so much for joining me as we explore this wild, wild world that we live in and all the wildlife that lives there, and their history with humankind. We are going to look at a very special individual who had a very important role in my love of nature and my love of primates in particular. Because today we are going to be looking at a very famous gorilla named Buddy, or Gargantua the Great. Alright, so who was Buddy, or Gargantua the Great, as he was often known in the public eye? Born in 1929, Gargantua the Great Gargantua was a captive western lowland gorilla, exhibited famously by one P.T. Barnum's Ringling Brothers Circus. So let's read on here. Gargantua the Great, or Buddy the Gorilla, who was scared of lightning. I came across a few photos of a lowland gorilla in a book about the history of the circus, which piqued my interest. I'm a big fan of primates, you see, some being dearer to my heart than others. I went searching the web to find out more. The Ringling Brother Barnum and Bailey Circus billed him as Gargantua the Great, the world's most terrifying creature. But as it turns out, a previous owner had dubbed him Buddy, short for Buddha, and he had a very sad past. Not only that, but he was scared of lightning. What follows are a few brief notes on Buddy's story and some related images. So here's Buddy. This is Buddy, or Gargantua the Great, as the world would come to know him. I got some different photos of him too. That's the movie poster. His face is, that's what made him most terrifying to people, was his facial scars. Essentially, the story of Buddy goes like this. In the mid-1930s, a baby gorilla was offered to a freighter captain as a gift from some friends who were African missionaries. The captain accepted and brought the gorilla aboard his ship, naming him Buddy. He was adopted by the crew and became the darling of the ship, being given special prepared food, taught to perform seaman duties, and otherwise adored. The sailors aboard the ship took exception to the discipline doled out by the captain, and knowing how fond the captain was of the baby gorilla, threw nitric acid in Buddy's face as a means of vengeance. Buddy was nearly blinded and forever disfigured. Buddy hid himself, refusing food, shrieking and attacking anyone who came near. The sailors, at a loss for what to do, urged the captain to euthanize Buddy, but the captain knew a wealthy woman in Brooklyn who cared for sick animals and decided instead to bring Buddy to her. Her name was Gertrude Lentz, and she was a bit of an eccentric. There's a movie called Buddy about this, starring Rene Russo. It's not a bad movie. You can check it out. She had won national attention by proposing to the scientific community that apes, specifically chimpanzees, needed proper mothering to survive and thrive. She dressed the chimps in human attire, taught them to eat at the table, and allowed them to live as children might under similar circumstances. Her most famous protege, Captain Jiggs, a Highland chimpanzee of unusual intelligence and patience, became well-known national figure. Mrs. Lentz divided chimpanzees into 3 classes depending on eye brightness and anthropomorphized the animals to such a degree that she blurred the lines between animal and human. She particularly enjoyed posing the animals in the car seats beside her, driving her roadster with an immaculately dressed chimp navigating from the passenger seat. Under Miss Lentz's care, Buddy grew to a huge 600 pounds. A plastic surgeon attempted to repair his disfigured face, but left him with a permanent, terrifying sneer, otherwise out of character for his gentle nature. Evidently, one night, it was stormy out. Buddy was frightened by the thunder and lightning and broke out of his cage. He crawled like a frightened child into the bed with Miss Lentz. She decided then and there to give the 600-pound, 8-year-old lowland gorilla to the circus. She contacted John Ringling in 1937, who came to Brooklyn to see Buddy. He was later quoted as saying, "Behind the bars glowered the most fearful face I have ever looked upon," said Ringling, "a tremendous hairy head with great dripping fangs and that horrible sinister leer on his acid-twisted mouth." Poor guy. The top image shows so much like the horrifying nightmare of what man might have been. Gargantua the Great offers the pernicious portrait study ever recorded by a camera lens. Bottom image caption: "The massive hand of the Gargantua the Great and that of a normal-sized man emphasizes the almost unbelievable concentrated power behind the giant gorilla, which points to his approximate place of origins in the dim forest of western equatorial Africa." Ringling brought, getting into the show, time for me to start tripping over my words, I guess. An immaculately dressed chimp is probably the best kind of chimp. I don't know if you want to make that claim. Miss Lentz did. Ringling bought Buddy on the spot, renaming him and at his wife's suggestion, Gargantua, after Rabelais' giant king of Gargantua, and Pantagruel launched an advertising campaign centered around the gorilla, which hailed him as the largest gorilla ever exhibited and the most terrifying living creature. Millions flocked to see Gargantua. He was a huge success as an attraction, which single-handedly helped rebound Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey from ruinous period of the Great Depression. So this brought Ringling Brothers Circus back from the Great Depression, exhibiting this giant gorilla, 600-pound ape. This is literally where the term 600-pound gorilla comes from, is from Gargantua. He was the quintessential 600-pound gorilla. The circus built Gargantua his own special air-conditioned cage on wheels and toured him successfully for years. From Time magazine, 1938. Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus, Gorilla, Gargantua the Great, wrote Gargantuan columnist Haywood Brown 3 weeks ago, is the fiercest looking thing I have ever seen on two legs, and probably his power and truculence, what's that word? Does somebody know what that word is? This one, I don't know this word. Truculence? Or is it truculence? Or it's not truculence, that's a hard C, so it's truculence. Truculence. Does anybody know what that means? It's not a word I'm familiar with. Were all the more impressive because he did look a good deal like a distant relative. No one was allowed to go close to his cage because Gargantua can reach about 5 feet through the bars, and give a toehold on any visitor who he dislikes. Gargantua may not be the world's biggest captive gorilla since the death of Berlin Zoo's monster. Many zoos have claimed that honor for their gorilla, but he is one of the most vindictive because he's mostly blind. As far as I know, couldn't see very well, and he was, yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? I like how they use toe hold instead of hand hold, though, because he could probably grab you with his toes as well. June 1938 saw one of the few comical aspects of the Gargantua story when former heavyweight boxing champion Gene Tooney revived the age-old 8-verse man argument with an article in the Connecticut Nutmeg in which he wrote the following: "It is my firm conviction that any fairly good heavyweight boxer could put the great Gargantua to sleep on a route within 2 minutes. You must remember that a boxer stepping into the ring to defend or seek a championship is, muscularly speaking, quite different person than is the spectator who watches him. Years of specialized calisthenics have put a tougher layer of hard muscle over the boxer's stomach and solar plexus. Punches that would knock an ordinary man out instantly or injure him internally bounce off the hardened body of a well-conditioned boxer without making him gasp. That protective layer of muscle absorbs punches just as shock absorbers on your car assimilate the bombs. Gargantua is a big boy, but a Dempsey left hook landed on his stomach might figuratively tear the poor animal in two and leave him paralyzed on a canvas of the jungle, on the canvas or jungle." In 1941, a publicity stunt, a marriage ceremony took place as Gargantua took a female gorilla named Mitoto as his wife, called Toto for short. Toto had also been property of an affluent woman who, during tea with the gorilla, had her both of her wrist snaps. Damn. Mitoto, Swahili for little one, became known simply as Miss Gargantua. Ringling had hoped to mate the gorilla. Their first meeting was romanticized in Time magazine article in March 41st. Toto, a she-gorilla, met Gargantua, a he-gorilla, last week. Their cautious introduction took place out behind the machine shop at the Ringling Brother and Barnum and Bailey's writer quarters in Sarasota, Florida. I guess FLA was how they abbreviated Florida back then. The two giant gorillas who John Ringling North hopes to mate were wheeled up face to face in their separate cages. Attendants and newsmen watched. Scar-faced, 550-pound Gargantua turned a curious look upon the first gorilla he had seen since he left Africa. Apparently, he liked what he saw. He threw her a bouquet of celery tops. Uppishly, 438-pound Mtoto tossed it back. He tried a head of lettuce. Mtoto shuffled coyly across her cage and played with her black and white kitten Principe. I guess that's the name of her kitten. Gargantua sulked. The circus man north so far was so good, said he. Gargantua is infatuated. Naturally, Mtoto was modest and bashful. When he is reasonably sure that they will not tear each other apart, he will let the couple share the same cage. There's some pictures of them together and some of the advertising that they did. Ringling Brothers, Mr. and Mrs. Gargantua the Great, for 80 years, the greatest show on earth. Mr. and Mrs. Gargantua the Great. Buy war bonds, they say. The gorillas want you to buy war bonds. In point of fact, all that really happened was Gargantua threw some rotten vegetables at his intended mate. Though they toured together for many years, they were never mated or had any offspring. When in 1949 it became obvious that he was not well, no one dared approach him to find out what the trouble was. He died that November, which is why I wanted to get this episode in, because it wasn't November anymore, but I did have this set up as to be the one for last week, but since I didn't want to do double infrasound, I did the Leo the Lion last week instead. Gorillas, let's see, where was I? He died in November of double pneumonia. Gorillas in captivity often live for 40 years or more. Gargantua, however, was only 20. Newspapers announced his passing with prominent headlines, and in the 1950, Gargantua's skeleton was donated to the Peabody Museum, where it's still on display. There's the actual skull. A sad story, if you ask me, one which was later desecrated further in 1997 flick Buddy. Poor old Buddy. Yeah. Anyway, so that was the story of Buddy, or Gargantua the Great, as he was touted by Barnum and Bailey Circus. I don't know if you ever heard about this gorilla, if this is a story that you're familiar with or not, but that is what a little piece of history that I wanted to talk about. Let me catch up with the chat real quick before we close out. Let's see. More evidence that humans are the real monsters. Exactly, Brian Stevens. Tobin agrees as well. Sumami likes immaculately dressed chimps. Unfamiliar with the word as well. Yeah, me too. Loved your live stream, says Native Atheist to Tobin. I must have missed that one. Sorry I missed it. Thanks, Native. I will get back to them soon. Live streams. Yeah, I would catch those occasionally. Okay, so yeah, that was just a little bit of wrap up here. I hope that that was something you all enjoyed. I enjoy talking about these different historical accounts of different animals. So, if you're still with me, please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. Seriously, guys, thanks for sticking around. I know we started late today. Still managed to keep the show kind of short, though. Tried to get it back on track by dropping one segment and slipping in another, but actually we had it too short at this point, but that's okay. It was still a full show. Anyway, appreciate everybody for sticking around. I know that that sometimes that sometimes I struggle in life, right? But having you guys here is really important to me. You know, a couple of dozen people that return every Saturday morning. It really means a lot to me. I just want you guys to know that. You know, I've had this last 2 years, no, the last couple of weeks. It's been kind of a rough one for me. So glad that no matter what's going on in my life, every Saturday I can sit down here in front of my computer, put that all on the back burner, and just have fun with you guys. So I really do appreciate you. When I say be kind, I mean continue being kind, because you're showing me so much kindness right now. When I say take care, I mean take care, because I want you to be well when I see you next time. Pop it in my chat or anybody else's where I happen to be. So when I say see you next time, I'm talking specifically to every one of you out there watching right now. Seeing you return and come back means so much to me. So I'll say it one last time on the show today. Be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time.